En las redes sociales de hoy en día, el contenido de calidad a menudo pasa desapercibido. En Den, a los usuarios se les paga por la creación, evaluación y conservación de los contenidos de calidad. Los creadores de contenido son recompensados según el compromiso y el alcance de su publicación o comentario. Los evaluadores de contenido son recompensados en función de la velocidad y los resultados de sus predicciones. Los propietarios de la comunidad son recompensados en función del compromiso dentro de su comunidad. En Den, el contenido de calidad se paga.
Hello denizens, and welcome to this week's DENDAO governance call. It is March 3rd, 2022, and as usual, I'm here with Joe Dragon. I am distant, and we'll talk about layer chat. We'll chat about chat and DMs. What's not on the agenda, real quick, I wanted to say is, before this, we were talking a little bit about there's an issue with MetaMask that may be resolved now. Some of their way that they were set up within Infura and their API seems to have an issue. So if you were affected by the what do you want to call it, Joe? The over application of sanctions by that. They say that they've shrunk it back down to the appropriate country list now. So do see if that's fixed for you, if it was an issue. And then the other thing was there are a few people that were automatically banned that have not been had their account restored to certain layers, not all layers, but certain layers. And we are working on that too. It might be next week until that's all resolved, but I wanted to put that out there because I know that a couple of folks were waiting on updates for that. So that's what I've got there.
Yep.
Besides that, we've got March LCP is open for proposals if you have something that you want to propose. And
I haven't watched. I don't know if there's anything new or not.
Well, there's one way to find out, right? I'm hearing there might be two of them ready for us.
Okay.
That we can look at. So we've got that, and then we've got basically what's going on right now is the new feature set that was voted for and approved with the site-wide or the DENDAO governance system that is now in place. And so I said before that's probably going to roll out with layer chat first, and I think that's still the plan, right? We had
yeah, I think so.
This week's stand-up, we can maybe talk about a little bit of the discussion there.
Yeah.
How that might look.
Sure.
Let me take let you take that actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, because we did months ago roll out the server side, the service-based API for chat, and it was intended that API can handle direct message, it can handle group chat, and it can obviously handle a group chat that is static. And so on mobile, we put together the layer chat because it was kind of like the very first thing that's easy to put together, where you don't need an interface to select people to include in the chat. It would be essentially for people who already have groups in Telegram that are similar to layers, in subject matter or interest, that they could just start coming over and chatting inside a Den, right? So like say the Dragon Chain Telegram channels and things like that we could start shifting all focus over to Den, and they can still get the chatting interface like Telegram.
And there's also, I think, parity for some of the existing like community chats too. Like there's a trading lounge on Den. There's of course the Dragon Chain layer, the Den layer itself. So each of those will have its own chat room. And I know like a lot of people that use Den don't realize that they don't use Telegram, right? So they don't know there's a Den chat over on Telegram, which is kind of a placeholder until we get this done. So is that did we decide? I don't know. I don't want to get down to too many details that haven't been decided, but basically, if you're subscribed to a layer, you're in the chat, and you just kind of switch back and forth between them.
I think so. There might be something where you can shut it off if you don't, want anything in notifications or stuff like that. I'm sure we'll have configuration. But yeah, generally, if you're subscribed to the layer, you don't have to do anything special. You would just click on the chat button, and you go into essentially something that would it'd feel like Telegram, feel like Slack, it'd feel like whatever you're used to. However, a couple of things that we don't have in there, even on the mobile that is out already. is an indicator that anyone's in the chat, waiting to talk, or that there is an active conversation that you can catch up on.
Or even an idea of when that last message took place. That's an example of
Yes,
something that I
right.
think last time I used chat, it was like, oh, I don't know if this message was from 2 weeks ago, or
I think they added that already. I think it has the timestamp
Cool.
in
Okay.
it. But either way, it's something where, okay, an indicator. Oh, there are people talking right now, so I can go in there. And who knows? People might entirely just live in that chat instead of in Telegram or Slack. And the other unique feature will be that if you're in that chat, conversing with others, that if somebody makes a reply to a post somewhere, or if somebody makes a post in that layer, it'll show up inline. You'll see
that's
a card.
That's a pretty unique feature. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you kind of get everything, what's going on, So
yeah, that lets you have an overall picture of activity. Not only, that could maybe be included into like layer metrics too. We might use some data from chat to put into like one of the layer metrics, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of cool stuff that we haven't even thought of yet, that once we have the leaderboard up in the layer metrics, where you can see like not only most active, but maybe this one's a dead layer for posting, but the chat is just hyperactive if you want to go, that kind of thing.
And we are, like, say, all of it will be on chain. So all of, like, say, in a layer, we don't know exactly how we're going to be interfacing it, but the essential thing is that every single message would be on chain. And there's a reason for that, because when we do the DMs and the group chats, the vision for the interface was to try to clean up what other platforms do. That, if you've used Slack very long, or if you use Telegram, you realize that you have all of these conversations, that if I'm trying to find a conversation that I had with you, Dave, it might have been in the one that also had somebody else in it. And how do I know which one? And, I can search, but you have all of this old junk that, frankly, it'd be nice if it was gone, that we want to basically say, for DMs, for example, that we will at some point have a peer-to-peer encrypted, messaging, and that for a group chat or for a DM, that after you're done with it, let's say, we're talking about some naming convention on some variables in some engineering, some code or something. And once that subject is complete, if we just leave it, that after some point in time, it'll just go away, and, it'll automatically kind of clean up itself. But at the end, if either of us sees value in it, to say, hey, this was an important thing and I want to keep it for posterity, or so that I have notes later, I can now name it and pay either, we don't know if it'll be layer or matter, and to put it on chain and keep it there, right? I guess it's already on chain, but to pay something to keep it there.
I like that kind of naturally, like if you don't have a reason to save it, and let's say it's just energy, right? So it doesn't really cost you anything.
Right.
It's just signaling to the system or something.
Yeah.
Then you could be like, oh, you know what? I need to save that for later. And then, like you said, once you go back looking for stuff, you don't have all the garbage to sort through. You just have like all the stuff you saved.
And it keeps cool. It's like a clean process that is organic as possible, right? Where you might have some case where he's like, oh, I should have saved that. It's like, mental note. Anytime there's something, I might as well spend the energy or whatever to keep it. Anyway, there's a bunch of that stuff, and there's a lot to be decided there too with the interface that's not finished. But like you said, we're gonna start with the layer chat, because that's going to be the most unique, and that's the one we really have to solve the interface for. And then after that, we can, the DMs will be pretty easy. There's a couple of things related to DMs and group that it was already on the priorities list, as I think the referencing people inside of content. We don't have a clean, simple way right now, like you might in Telegram, to hit the button and it gives you a list of people, and now I can partially hit tab, and now they're going to get notified. We need something similar.
And that's a separate like feature that was voted on too, right? So we might not even get that into this iteration of chat, But
Right.
when we go back and vote on that being the next most important thing, then I guess that could get added in then.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be fun. I mean, it should be really interesting because, for one thing, it'll solve some of the problems of actually talking to people outside of a thread, right? That we don't have to go to some other platform or email or anything else to talk to them. We can actually talk to them inside the platform. It'd be very helpful, right?
Yes, especially like right now, we only require on purpose an email address to sign up, and I know a lot of people don't check their email because
Yeah.
it's kind of like everybody uses text messages, and when they do use email, they use email like it's an extension of text messaging, a few
Yeah.
lines or something like that, back
Yeah.
and forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be cool to actually be able to
Yeah.
talk to people and bring chats.
And we have several,
Den.
like say, as Den, one of our customers is Dragon Chain, right? And Dragon Chain, I can tell you, has a noted and publicly addressed wish to take all of the Telegram groups and get all that activity on Den, so it's on chain, right? It's Dragon Chain stuff. We want it on chain, and what we're going to use, we're going to keep the Telegram groups open, but probably maybe not day one, but shut off ability to post, and instead take a feed of all the active, highest, best content on the Dragon Chain layer and post that directly in Telegram.
Yeah, that basically converts it into an announcements channel is what that is, right? I think that exists sort of that concept already, so that shouldn't be too foreign for anybody.
Yep.
Makes sense to me. I mean, we've got a chat system, we've got a social system, we've got a DragonNet, then let's put you do everything on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's all on chain too. That's the thing that in the end is kind of the big goal, get everything on chain. So cool.
Right on. I also wanted to bring up because I think that's basically all there has to be said about chat and DMs and stuff. Is that's the progression. I think we'll talk about DMs once layer chat's done. We'll probably have another conversation about that. I would imagine.
Yeah, and it might be something that maybe we put up the layer chat, and we roll out another priorities. Where do you want us to go ahead and do group chat, or do you want to kind of experiment with layer chat and kind of get the interface a little more understood, and then we can come in and do the others after we maybe do something else?
That's a good point that I hadn't thought of. Is get that first pass and then say, okay, what do you think? Should we do the extra feature, or should we polish this more?
Right.
Because it could be that everyone thinks it's fine. Because we're gonna have another pass, I'm sure, on everything. It's gonna be like.
Oh yeah.
So, cool.
Yep.
Well, cool. Let's move over to LCP a little bit then.
Yes.
And I have one of the two proposals up that have landed already. So if you have one, go to the little pink avatar that says layer creation process in your layers list, and you can propose in there now. It's turned on. So someone, Coinier, proposed a layer for fashion and beauty. Short name fashion. And the short description would be that the layer is about fashion and beauty from around the world. I think it's self-evident what the content is. Audience, fashion and beauty touches us all, both active participants as well as passive consumers will enjoy content in this layer. That's a good. I haven't thought of fashion as a passive consumer of fashion, but it is like an aesthetic. Like you're affected by fashion if it's around you because you see it, right? And everything that you ingest, whether it's visually or audibly or whatever, it is part of your environment. Good point, Coinier.
Very good.
And then I like the different countries are popping up and states. So Canada is a layer description.
Oh yeah.
A layer for all things related to Canada. Whether you're Canadian or not, you can share articles, insights, and experiences, and opinions about anything related to Canada. There's activity in Canada. There's stuff going on to talk about, so that would be cool. And the plans are naturally draw Canadians from other social media platforms. Canadians also like sharing with others, and they find support for Canada within almost any community. This layer will naturally grow with ease. If that's true, that's a good point. If people seek out, I know I've written some articles before on Den where the community has found them accidentally just by Googling, like, oh, somebody wrote an article about our project. And it ended up in like their Telegram chat. And I didn't push it or pitch it or anything. It was just somebody found it and started sharing it with their community. So that's great.
Yeah, I think for a time, I don't know if this is still true, the largest viewed post, most viewed post by metrics was that meme about Mel Gibson saying something about Hollywood, and it was like some and because somebody posted it somewhere on Facebook that got a lot of clicks. So
Okay.
Anyway, but that type, it's kind of weird because that stuff gets out, and half the reason, my assumption is that theoretically, by our curation and the way that we're doing the bot, like when a bot comes in and crawls,
yes,
that it is sorted by the curated content and time. So theoretically, this should be an SEO machine in time. Now we have to counter some of the things that I've heard about with, if you have content that's copied, or various things
right.
that can discount what you might. So that's the other reason. And one thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that's why I suggest to people whenever they publish something, if you publish on multiple platforms, for example, it's like 0x or Medium
Hive.
or Hive, then I don't know how much it affects their metrics and their stuff.
Yeah.
But I know that for sure, if you want to earn more matter, I think publishing, because of what you talked about, publishing on here first and then elsewhere.
Yeah.
If you're going to do both, then maybe
that. Yeah, I will typically, like with good, because there are a lot of people that have good content, and then they will sometimes post the base on Den, and then sometimes post it elsewhere. And I will vote up the ones that are based here a lot more, because I usually won't click out.
Based.
I don't have time. Yeah. And as to the Canada layer, I hope that actually happens, so that because I'm going to propose an A tag, right, and a hoser tag, because those two alone could potentially make that layer. Anyway, apparently hoser is a Western Canada only use.
I wasn't sure if I should ask. When I'm not familiar with the term, I'm almost afraid to ask.
I once had a contract up there, and I tried to get the customer. A couple of the people on the customer to call one of the guys that worked at my company a hoser, and they said, no, we don't do that over here. That's Western.
That's Western thing.
Like, that's disappointing.
I've had very limited experience with Canada. I remember I remember going to Canada when I lived in Maine, because I could join the military, but I couldn't drink. But if I went over across to Canada from the base over in the shipyard, then we could drink. So I remember that, yes. And I remember in Seattle, I went to I got. What is that, like French fries and gravy goop? That's like a Canadian Northwestern.
Oh, shoot! What is the name of it?
Maybe, or it's like a potato goop with.
Darn it!
So that's a Canadian thing, right?
We once went to KFC there, and this was in Toronto, and they gave us the fries, but the fries had gravy. And I was like, "Where's the ketchup?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" But what is it called? Darn it!
Well, let me see if my Google foo is good enough.
It's AUD though, I think.
It's called poutine.
Poutine. Oh,
poutine. Poutine.
So
poutine.
Strange. It's good.
Yeah. So, I haven't seen that. I mean, you might think it's good. I was kind of
potatoes. It's potatoes and gravy. Like it's.
But it's like the brown gravy. I'm used to like biscuits and gravy with the gray
white gravy,
like sausage gravy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should make some southeastern poutine.
You could do it. I had forgotten about that. That is true.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. So, Canada has a good culture, though.
Cross posts for food layer there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's basically what's being worked on right now in this week. I don't know how short of a governance call is appropriate, but I wonder if anybody has anything they want to talk about. Now is a great time. Is there a link in here? Yeah. So if you go to the DENDAO layer and you find the this post for today's DENDAO call, top post, right under where it says agenda, you can hit this link to join the call. So that's there every week. And go ahead and hit that if you want to chime in. Otherwise, I don't know what else we had to discuss. I think we've been really talking about chat and DMs and stuff, since that's like the new thing internally anyway. So what might I be forgetting about? What haven't we talked about in a while that's still in? Oh, yes, we have merch. We have new merch.
DENDAO merch. Yes, DENDAO merch.
I forgot.
So go to DragonChain.store.
Yeah.
It's probably a side. There's probably a category.
Thanks backstage for the reminder.
Yes. So yeah, those and they're printed.
I love that it
and
says
they're
DENDAO. Yeah.
embroidered. I don't have any of these yet. I need to get
I
some of them.
just, yeah, I just now bought merch for local stuff, but I missed this, so I'll have to reach back in. I
Yeah.
need a new coffee cup. That's what I'll get. I had the fellowship one that changes colors whenever it gets filled with hot coffee.
I mean,
I don't know what happened to it.
I guess the thing. Oh, really? See, man. You're fine. You can find out. I guess the big thing, the real big thing, is that Den is officially a DAO. It's not it doesn't like we haven't registered, which we think we might in Wyoming for that, but
that is a good point to talk about.
We kind of wanted to turn on the full site-wide governance, or the DAO itself, and then make sure everything's functioning and working, and then we'll say, okay, boom, here it is. Because and again, I keep on every show we've been on, I've been mentioning that Cointelegraph article that's hopefully coming out soon, and it specifically mentions Den.
Okay,
it specifically mentions behavior, portion of governance, and the fact that it's a hybrid, like that there are components for the people who have liquidity, and there are people who are doing things on a platform, and then there are a piece for the actual foundation itself when it was first rolled out. So
what is that thing that they launched recently? I think you may have mentioned something about it on one of the socials, where Cointelegraph has an opt-in or a sign-up for being part of our exclusive think tank. Is that
Innovation Circle. Yeah.
Innovation Circle.
I mean, they told us that it will be an application. I don't know if they're charging for it. I don't know what, but they invited us in to one of the first. So we kind of set up. I set up my account, and there's no other activity when we first started, and then we answered questions before anybody else, I think. And I think they said that we have the first article in there. I don't know if it's going to be the first to go out, but
cool.
It's like I was thinking, he's like, Cointelegraph, sure, right?
Yeah, for sure, man.
We'll give you some content.
I was watching them all the way back when, when was it? It was like somebody in their living room interviewing people.
Really?
That's pretty.
Oh, I think I because
I have to go back and see.
I will tell you, I have a special place in my heart for them, because they were the ones that first started publishing stuff about Disney's blockchain before we were out, and so it's super interesting because they were paying attention, and then when we rolled out, they were the first to actually mention us, whereas like say CoinDesk wouldn't touch us, and they like CoinDesk I think published one article after our token sale happened with just the stats, right? I was like, it was weird.
Speaking of doing homework, I noticed another outlet published something about smart ballots and governance as a service to their investors, to the app, like as one of the highlights. I have to go and figure out what that is, but I've been seeing a couple of things show up too, so that'd be cool to have Telegraph show up after that. I'm excited to read that.
And we do have, I will say, at least, let me think here.
FTX,
at least
Blockfolia, that's who that was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they mentioned it. That was awesome. Like that was amazing.
Right, and so we did. Yeah, that was an example of somebody doing their own research, which I wasn't sure happened as much anymore, but apparently people do it. So cool, that's awesome.
And hopefully that'll be. It's like, holy crap, governance as a service. That we have at least 3 projects that are almost certainly going to do all of their governance through Den, right? So they'll have a layer. I don't know if they'll be private, if they'll be public. I know at least a couple of them I'm pushing to have them be public, right? But essentially that's the whole point. Because it's funny when we're talking to them, because some of the partners maybe haven't, don't have an active presence in Den or anything, that it's essentially a really amazing thing, because we can say, look, we have the governance thing handled, right? So if we're going to have either, founders only DAO type thing versus something that might have NFTs or something else in it, it's a very easy thing to say, look, we have that covered. We're gonna do it this way. We can roll out. We can roll out the base of it in a day, and then we can, if you have to do special stuff, we can do that too. It just simplifies everything. So
since we're talking about that, something that I think that I don't think I even thought about too much until I had someone ask me about it, because they have a project on Solana, and they were saying, well, if we use Den, then how could we use For example, could we do X with our token that exists? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And because of the way that we've already, you answered this for me quickly, and it was like, oh, duh, when you said it. Because the way that we've already done with our staking system, behavioral reward systems, the snapshots, and things like that, we already have an interface now where it's like, cool, I claim my wallet, and then I notify the system that I have something in here that you need to watch for whatever reason.
Yep.
And we could bolt on like, oh, let's watch this Solana address,
Totally.
or let's watch this Avalanche account, or stuff
For,
like that if we wanted to, which is great because existing DAOs can use their existing. Okay, we want to bring in people who don't want to jump through all the hoops to be able to participate, and that's like a really unique offering to any DAO that's trying to grow, to be able to say, hey, you can plug in, you can still use. We've even talked about still using the external interface to vote as an option if people don't even want to, like if some of your members don't want to join DIN. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then, on top of that, not only do you get access to the average person who might align with your principles and goals and want to support and help you, but is not going to learn MetaMask or something like that,
Right.
Right. You get to attract those, but then also you get to add a utility and value layer to what you already have, because now you're participating in an ecosystem into a different, like, you can add matter to your stack, you can add lore and lot to your stack, you got additional passive income from the layer lot.
True. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, they could. Think about it. If you wanted, you could say, okay, our layer is token X on Solana, and maybe token X fungible, and we also have an NFT collection that are going to be included. So you could allow them to claim their addresses on Solana, never have to pay a fee to move them into a contract or worry about writing that contract or anything else, and they can participate, and they could effectively say, look, all the matter that we generate in this layer, we're going to distribute amongst the people that are there, not even keep it themselves. They can do all types of stuff,
and they can retain custody.
Cool. And it can be NFTs as well as fungible, which we already at least have one. Well, we have one external and a couple of other projects. I guess they are separate. They're not DIN, that are going to be using NFT. At least part of the governance is going to be on NFTs and not a fungible. So anyway, there'll be some interesting stuff.
Cool stuff.
Yes.
Oh, yes. And to bring that back around to chat real quick, I was just thinking when you were explaining that is something that is currently, I've probably said this 100 times, but people do stuff for free already. And so all of the activity in a DAO, like if you're in Discord or you're in Telegram or you're in SMS, whatever it is, you're coordinating and you're taking up a lot of your time and you're scheduling meetings and stuff like that. The more of that you could do on something like DIN, the more you can capture value that is otherwise, not captured, right? So just to, like, let's say you're doing something valuable, why not monetize the process of creating it as well?
Yeah.
So that's something else. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's all I got, Joe. I think that's what I got.
That's cool. That's cool. I don't think I have anything else either. I mean, there's a lot that you mentioned the block ban stuff. There's some active things there, and we can talk about that more. The reputation. I mean, I think the block ban is there for a reason, and the number is totally up to that layer. So I do think 6 was too low. 10 is okay. That's where it's at right now for the Dragon Chain one, where the one issue was somebody's
that's pretty
proposed
standard.
20.
Yeah,
20. I wouldn't be totally against 20, but I kind of wanted to see what it's like at 10 first, because there are trolls out there, and there are people that will come in and do things. I got called fat on there. I was truly offended. I don't know if you saw that. There was.
I did see it one time in the past. Was this recently?
This was
recently?
just yesterday. Yeah, I was like,
Oh.
I shed a tear last night
Yeah.
when I saw this comment, and I'm like, oh, you did your job.
Yeah, and then somebody, a couple of months ago, it happens every now and then, somebody said that your pants made your butt look big, basically, right?
Something like that. Yeah, like,
I'm like,
geez, all right,
oh, okay. Yeah,
okay.
no, trolls exist. That's true. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if 20 is overcorrecting or not. You know what I mean? I can see that being something like I'm a fan of. Um, I'm a slow mode kind of guy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
everybody
and
is very twitchy, and to me, in my
yeah,
from my perspective,
it
not that
might
that's a
be
bad
okay.
thing, but
It might be okay to let it run at 20. It's already at 10. I would like to see where it goes there, but somebody did propose 20. The guy that was banned, auto banned, by the way, or a person, a guy or a gal, I don't know.
okay.
And so I'm okay with that. But we did up the reputation, because I'm like, okay, maybe auto ban isn't the right way. Maybe it's better to just say, okay, if you have a bad reputation, then you can't post. You can
Yeah.
still reply.
I do think that
Maybe,
makes
I
some
don't know.
sense because there should be. I would imagine that like a gradual notification that hey, you're starting to rub people the wrong way here. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, okay, you can't post anymore, but you can still reply.
Yeah. And
Maybe
it's
that's an
also,
indication that okay, the rep
yeah,
settings are getting a little bit. People aren't blocking you in mass or anything, but
yeah,
people are saying it's
yeah.
not.
And
Yeah,
you
go
know what
ahead.
else too? I can't remember. I wouldn't be able to verbally quote you the algorithm, but I do know that it was designed to be forgiving over time, so that if you have a really bad reputation today, you can keep replying in a good way and get a better reputation, and
Yeah.
slowly the bad stuff will go off like an old credit score,
Yeah.
and then you can go back in. So stuff like that's there too. So it's it's intended for that, and you can control votes that way too. So if anybody thinks there's issues with people, I don't know what you want to call it, but like say emotional voting that happens, or personality voting, that you can also set a rep on that as well. And I don't know. It's an interesting thing because yeah. Oh, and by the way, the other thing that is a definite thing is sometimes it's hard to get a conversation going. You have to provide enough info or provide in, and the one way that people have hacked it, that is an obvious way to get reputation going, is to say something controversial, or to or to call me fat, or to do anything like that, because then first I'll reply, then other people reply, people vote up. They probably get a lot of mining out of that. And so I
see.
counter that, I will tend to vote one up or one down on any post that I'm thinking, oh, this is just a bullshit drama post, because then they're not getting a lot of energy, but it is affecting the rep.
That's a pretty good thing to remind people too. The way that works is even if you vote just one up or down, you're definitely weighing in on consensus with the full force that you would have been weighing in if you voted more. It's just that if you're voting more, you're wagering or betting that you're right, and if you're not right, then you're going to be rewarding someone that you may have been trying to vote down. Things like that. So
by design, right? So it's
a
pretty cool system. But anyway.
And I do that too. Whenever there's something that, like for example, and I haven't done any like tutorials like recently where I'm like, okay, here's how I vote, here's how I do stuff. But basically, it's if I don't have an opinion on it, sometimes I don't vote, but I try to have an opinion. I try to have some kind of evaluation. I'll just like, okay, this fits in the layer, but it doesn't interest me. I'll vote it up once because somebody else might still like it, that kind of thing. I just don't have any. I don't have any like. Sometimes if I don't have enough to go on, to know like, oh, this is definitely what people are going to be into, then I'll weigh in that. Yep, it's on topic, I guess, and that's about it.
Yeah, I it's really hard to do, but I do try to say, okay.
Same with downs, but
I disagree with this, like in cryptocurrency layer. Sometimes I'm like, that project, but at the same time, it's good content, so I'll vote it up, right? And it's like I'll give it a good, because people are coming in and providing original content. So I'm like, okay, I don't care about that project, but it's awesome that
if you ever have some guy talking to you in cryptocurrency about how maybe you should check out the trading layer, I'm sorry, that's like my thing. I feel bad about it sometimes, but I'm like, I'll get like, there's a cryptocurrency post, cool. There's nothing about cryptocurrency. There's charts. There's like maybe the ticker, but not the name itself. Like, what even is this? And it's like, okay.
Well, I will
is this
say,
cryptocurrency? Yeah, it's related. It is on
which layer is
topic-ish.
it? There's one layer that is trading that is not only crypto. Like it
It's a
actually has
trading lounge.
tags.
Yeah,
Yeah, trading lounge is like supposed to be, I guess the potentially regular stock market stuff would be in there,
Yeah.
stonks and all the So anyway, it's
So
interesting.
so maybe I'm in the minority, and I should stop being dickish about talking about trading cryptocurrency in the cryptocurrency layer.
Yeah, well, that matter. Yeah, that's a
But
good point.
that's the magic though, is because not everybody combined. That's the brain power you want to access when you're evaluating all of these things, because I might not know, and I might be wrong, and I would love to find out if I'm wrong by consensus. That's one of the things that I like.
It's imperfect.
I'm one of those weird people that likes finding out that they're wrong if they can be proven. It's annoying whenever no, you're wrong, but there's nothing objective to point that out. But I love it whenever I learn something about myself. I'm like, oh, that was I didn't. Not as many people think that way as I thought.
Yeah. Usually, it's something for me. It's something conceptual that you might have a bunch of people thinking one thing, and I'm like, well, why? And then you're like, oh, okay, it makes sense, right? That concept would drive people to think a different way. It's pretty cool. So anyway, it's good. That's why that there's one feature that we want to see at some point is that consensus.
Yes.
Transparency thing,
which is another, and that got some votes too.
Yeah.
It was cool also with the governance with the DAO. Now that the DAO is set up, with Den is where you can see where the interest is. I know there's interest in all of those things as features. Like you read that list and it's like, oh my god, that's amazing, right? Once we push through this year of changes or whatever it's going to be. Or whatever it is, and
some of them might be
throw
wrong.
A number out there.
The lot matter one is going to be freaking awesome. That's probably my second. That's I'd rather have it than chat, but I just think chat's needed really badly. So.
Yeah, and that's how I voted too. Was and this is how I would recommend anybody votes, is just to think about how this feature, maybe I really wanted chat too, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't vote for it. I voted for something else that I thought maybe would be a better business decision for what I'm doing locally or something like that.
Yes.
But that's the way we need votes to happen, is kind of objectively, what do you really think? That kind of thing.
Selfishly, personally, that's what we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, awesome. That's it.
All right, so if you've got a proposal for a layer, go to the layer creation process layer, LCP layer, and propose that. There is a template. Make sure you follow the template. There's a post in that layer to follow, and if you can't find that, just copy somebody else's and edit it. That's what I do sometimes. As long as they did it right. Reusing code, you don't know. But get those in there, and then keep an eye on governance tabs. I'm gonna go in just after this and see what I've not checked up on today and yesterday. So keep an eye on your votes, because if you have a lot, you're part of the decision-making process now. And if you don't like something, you can propose it to be changed. If you have, especially if it's something that's super easy, like a layer description. Some layers don't have descriptions at all, and maybe you could say, hey, this is not only what kind of layer it is, but we I don't know. You should have a discussion about it first and figure out how you would introduce a stranger to your community, and that's a pretty good thing probably to put in your description. On that. All right, and a few reminders to hit. We've got 4 shows a week on Den, all of them on Den. There is, I wasn't here today for the World Blockchain Roundtable, but that is Thursdays at 11 Eastern, and then of course this show is at 3 Eastern on today of the week. And then there's Tuesday and Wednesday as well. Tuesday there's Super Happy, 11 a.m. Eastern, and what is that, 8 o'clock on the West Coast?
8.
Yep. And then my show, Coffee with Den, Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. So yeah, we've got a few things that happen every week. That's cool. I like that. It just seems like I don't know. It's so early still, and it's like
there's
going to be at some point there's going to be especially once we bring in the incentivized sweat equity type stuff for the DAO. I expect, I really want to start seeing that list of live shows that happen, or not even live shows, just like a list of original content on Den with, you know, some of these YouTube creators, some of these people that can make really good content for layers like stuff that I don't have time for, like the privacy layer and the airdrops layer and things like that. That's gonna be exciting.
Speaking of which, whoever's listening, or you, Dave, remind us that we should probably put the native video and streaming capability in the priorities list, because that wasn't on there, and I'm like, oh.
No, that is a 2022 goal, but it's not on there. You're right.
Yeah. So okay.
Well, we'll have more spots now that this one's out of the way, right?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah. And native video is cool too, and that's something that every one of these features, when I've talked to to you or any of the devs, when we talk about how to build this stuff, I'm always impressed with how it's never just like, okay, how do we technically make this work so that we can put a bullet and say, oh, we have this now. It's like, no, how does this work good? Like, what's the way that we like wish the internet worked, and how do we build that?
Yes. So, and that's why I would tell you that's why the video one is so. I mean, we could theoretically design this separate and apart from Den, and you know, maybe it is. Maybe it's just a native integration and it's a separate platform. I don't know. That's some of the. We'll probably have questions to the DAO about that. But you know, to solve the issues, which a lot of people don't even think about with YouTube on the content itself, the fact that most YouTube channels, not all, are not very dense. I mean, they're very stretched out. Somebody introduces themselves as, oh yeah, I do this, and I had a sandwich this morning, and all the rest of this crap before
watch till the end to get the answer for the
and we want as much as possible to reward people for making much more concise, powerful content, and engaging it on how many views and what's the content market about, you know, or looking like, anyway, stuff like that. It's gonna be fun. So
it is.
We'll see. And it'll be decentralized, and it'll be
yes, it's not just going to be video. It's not just going to be another native video thing. It's going to be a decentralized video platform with like, man, there's, I guess this is a conversation for the meeting later on this evening, but there's cool stuff that you can do there with, like, you know, like you said, rewarding people for watching the whole thing, or versus for creating it in a way that gets your point across in a quicker time. Not all of us can watch something at 2x and absorb it correctly. Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go off and finish building. I'm playing around with DDR5, see what it can do. So I got that up and going. Gravity Crab came over and helped me build a couple of machines, and now we get to get some numbers and metrics out of it finally. So
nice. Okay.
All right. So I'll let y'all know how that turns out at some point.
All right.
All right. Thanks, have a good one. See y'all next time.
Goodbye.
And I'll see everyone next week. Have a good weekend. Cheers.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best. Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. Adaptable approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.